Who's talking to us?
Who?
Mr. Austin and Mr. Fulton
Okay.
Uh-huh.
on the DEC.
On the DEC, I'd like to just, for everybody, I'd like to just point out, we're governed by the Open Meetings Act, and it's posted on the back wall. So for now, I'd like to bring our guest forward and to discuss our meeting regarding the District Energy Corporation.
You ready for us?
Yes, we're ready.
Happy to. Thank you for giving us the time today. I assume that everybody knows of the existence of the District Energy Corporation. It is a separate independent body, politic and corporate, that was created a number of years ago for the primary purpose of financing and thereafter operating cooling and heating facilities for governmental entities. It was originally created in 1989 as a nonprofit corporation. The purpose of that was to take advantage of Revenue Ruling 6320 from the Internal Revenue Service that allowed a nonprofit corporation to issue tax-exempt debt on behalf of a governmental entity that had sponsored it, thereby, quite frankly, avoiding a vote of the people to utilize tax funds. It was recreated in 1992 as a joint entity under the Interlocal Cooperation Act, and this is what made it a body politic and corporate. However, at the same time, it retained its nonprofit corporation status under the Nebraska Nonprofit Corporation Act. The thinking at that time, I think, was it didn't hurt to have both of these authorizing pieces of legislation from which it could draw and utilize as it saw fit when whatever actions it needed to take. And it worked very well for some 30 years thereafter.
Oh, he'd like
Come
you
on
to
up.
stand over in front of the microphone over here.
Oh, you can. Well, not missing anything.
Okay.
Oh, now I can hear myself. However, about 2 or 3 years ago, as the District Energy Corporation was changing, making some amendments to its bylaws and to its articles of incorporation, those articles and bylaws that have to come to the City Council and County Board were presented to those bodies, and a question was raised as to whether or not the vote or action or participation by the elected officials who also sit on the District Energy Corporation had a conflict of interest under the Accountability and Disclosure Act. The Accountability Commission came back and said, yeah, actually the District Energy Corporation is a business with which these individuals are associated, and so they were precluded from participating or voting on the changes or any other matters that would come before the parent bodies for the DEC. That, coupled with the fact that it was at least the question was raised as to whether or not the nonprofit status may in any way impair the immunities that the District Energy Corporation holds under the Political Subdivisions Tort Claims Act, led us to conclude that we ought to consider dissolving the nonprofit corporate status of the DEC, and in essence, that's what we're here to talk to you about. We do not have, for your consideration at this time, the articles of dissolution or the amendments to the Interlocal Cooperation Act that would be necessitated by such an action, but we're looking more towards seeing if you think this would be an acceptable step by the DEC, and if so, then presumably in July, the DEC would take a look at articles of dissolution and amendments to the interlocal, and then be forwarding them to the City Council and County Board for formal action. We had been waiting. My memo says to you that this is contingent upon the concurrence of the DEC Bond Council to make sure that this does not impair the debt or in any way impair future issuance of debt. Since I gave that to you, our bond counsel at Kutak Rock has said they did not see a problem with eliminating the nonprofit corporation status. So that's what we're here for, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions from
Over.
Yes, Benny?
I'm sorry, forgive me, I was just looking at the webpage and it talks about how great the DEC is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure, who would put out
wouldn't-
propaganda without having, you don't say, I'm
But it's-
mediocre.
It's got a nice little, but, so we're gonna dissolve the nonprofit, but it will still exist.
Absolutely. The idea is that with its dual nature, as it were, we would be rid of the nonprofit status, but it would retain and continue on as a joint agency under the Interlocal Cooperation Act. It would then simply be a body corporate and politic under state law. Correct.
An excellent example of efficiency in government can be found in the District Energy Corporation.
There you go. I'll leave that to Mr. Fortick. And by the way, I forgot to introduce Jason Fortick. Jason is the contract administrator for the DEC and also wears the hat of chief of the power supply at Lincoln Electric System.
Thank you. Found the microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mostly just I wanted to comment and thank you, Mr. Austin and Mr. Fortick, for being here. As the council knows, I serve on the DEC for the council and certainly want to do that in a legal fashion. So support this move so that I can report out to the council following our meetings and certainly recognize that I am still relatively new, having attended 3 meetings, I think, last year. We meet quarterly. Is that correct? And so I had one conflict last year, but certainly appreciate Bill's work and Jason's work in bringing this forward to the council and to the county commissioners. And I believe they were supportive last week. I was trying to watch that as well. So just appreciate your being here
Okay.
and the service you do.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You're welcome. And you did touch upon one of the main points of, what we have are these sort of proponents for the DEC from the elected officials, and now to find them muzzled and unable to discuss what they know more thoroughly, presumably, than the others has been a problem. But thanks for bringing that up.
I got a quick question. So these will stay tax exempt? Will be a public entity? And that just not a nonprofit corporation?
Correct. It will be and remain, as it is now, a political subdivision.
Okay. And does the DEC take care of all the different energy plants throughout downtown?
Well, there are 6 facilities that are operated by the District Energy Corporation. One serves the county city complex here. One serves the state. It's located over at 14th and K. Is it close enough? One is serving the Nebraska State Penitentiary. One serves the county adult detention facility. One serves the joint public, the West Haymarket Joint Public Agency, and actually is getting closer to being a real district operation because there are a number of customers who branch off from the JPA and and the LOC.
Yep, LAS Operations Center down at 98th and Rokeby Road.
Way south.
Way south.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
And when do you think this may come forward to us?
Probably
Are you under any time?
August, September. August,
We're
probably.
not issuing any new bond or any new debts?
In fact,
Okay.
well,
To be
there's,
continued.
right now they have a short-term credit facility that needs to be converted to long-term bonds as soon as possible, but.
Would you
number
want
of
to do it
issues.
under this entity or the new one, or does it matter?
Well, we think it would probably be a little bit more clear to the prospective bondholders if they knew it was a joint entity. Actually, the title, when you put it in there, it begins to get awfully long when you say it's a nonprofit corporation organizing it, blah, 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 and it's also a joint entity. This will cut it down.
Okay. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nothing else on our director's agenda?
Well, this isn't director's meeting.
Or not directors, but pre-council, sorry.
Yeah.
There's nothing else on here. We'll reset, or we'll adjourn until we have our directors meeting at 2:00. Thank you.
Excellent.